dear.
Oh, hi, I'm Stella and welcome to 30 Books. On my channel, I'll be reviewing a wonderful and diverse range of Australian books just for you. Now, why Australian and why 30 books, I hear you asking? Well, imagine if we all bought 30 Australian books a year. Now, that would equate to roughly about $1,000 a year, which is less than a cup of coffee per day per person. But if we all did that, we would not just keep the Australian publishing industry alive, but flourishing. On average, an Australian novelist would receive about 10% of royalties for each book. Now, given that the average print run is about $2,000 to $3,000, that's about $9,000 a year, which isn't really much of a wage. I'll be buying all of the books myself, and this video series is just my small way of supporting Australian writers, and as a writer myself, supporting a publishing industry that I hope will one day be supporting me. I'll be posting once a fortnight and mixing it up with a range of reviews and some literary guests and some readers as well. I hope you support me and give me all your suggestions. Don't forget to comment below, and that way we can all support each other. Now, my first book is Melissa Lucashenko's Too Much Lip. Gory woman Kerry Salter returns to her hometown for the funeral of the family patriarch. She's been away for a couple of years. She's sort of semi-estranged from her family. And the novel immediately sets up some questions. What has been keeping her away, and why is she so edgy? Is she on the run, and what's exactly in that backpack of hers? Kerry doesn't want to care about her family. Her born-again Christian mother, her two brothers, her bullied nephew, and not to mention her missing sister. This is a fraught and funny family, one which Kerry finds herself yet again entwined with all their dramas. But when a greedy real estate agent gets his mitts on the Salter ancestral land, a revolution is in the air as the family and the local Indigenous community starts to mobilise, which in turn dredges up the siblings' childhood trauma and their disaffected adulthood. This novel is a banging great read. I loved it. There's something very generous in the way that Lucashenko has opened up a door to a family and a world that a lot of readers wouldn't be familiar with. The reader is invited in, and it's not always a pretty picture. No one gets off scot-free, black or white. But that is why only an Aboriginal person could really have written this book. It's an authentic voice, and she's writing about what it means to be an Indigenous Australian in contemporary times. Melissa Lucashenko has taken the tough issues that come with generational trauma, displacement, incarceration, abuse, racism, substance abuse, poverty, marginalisation. That all sounds really heavy, but there's something ultimately optimistic about this book. I wouldn't call it gritty exactly. And I chose this book because I like Melissa Lucashenko's down-to-earth style of writing and her plot focus. I knew that there would be a strong female character in this book, and there's really fantastic and vivid descriptions of people and a strong sense of place. I felt like I was there. And it's sexy, and there's something really audacious about having at the centre a heterosexual relationship where a black lesbian hooks up with a white guy. And this is what I also love about Melissa Lucashenko so much. She goes against the grain and really throws up some unexpected twists and turns. Melissa Lucashenko said Too Much Lip was the hardest book that she's ever written, and said the spirit of her grandmother became her muse. Now, I bought my copy from Readings in St Kilda for $24.99, which means the writer gets about $2.50, almost enough for half a cup of coffee. So that's Too Much Lip by Melissa Lucashenko, and it's out by University of Queensland Press. Now my next book is the rather wonderful Say Hello by the even more wonderful Carly Findlay. Carly has a skin condition called ichthyosis, and she writes that often the first thing people say to her is a comment or a question about her appearance before they even say hello. Things like, what happened to you, or look at her, or worse. And there's also a lot of staring as well. So this book asks people, how would you like to be treated if you had a facial difference? Part memoir and part manifesto, Carly offers insight into her world and also part of a world of many people with a disability or a facial difference. She tells her story through her childhood and adolescence, including the ongoing bullying, stigmatisation, and how she came to be an activist, how she found her voice, and also how she found her amazing sense of self. Carly has built a strong following as a disability and appearance activist, and I follow her on a number of social media platforms, so I was uber excited to read this book. And while this book is an education for many disabled folks, it's also a fabulous manifesto and a call to arms for disabled people to find your courage and to know that you're not alone. It's everything I expected. It's forthright and honest, but it's also self-deprecating in parts and super funny. Carly's delight at fandom, especially around Savage Garden, and her energy and zest for life are inspiring. Now, I know that she doesn't want to be an inspiration, so I hope she forgives me for that one. Needless to say, I loved it. It's great writing and it hits the right notes, and as someone who works in disability, this is the kind of stuff I need to read, and we need to hear more of it. It's all very well to raise awareness, but it's people with disability who need to be writing these books, or rather we need to be reading their books, and these are the people that need to be seen. Now, I bought my book at Readings in St Kilda. I promise I visit more bookstores than Readings, and I bought mine for $32.99, which means Carly will get about $3.50, which is probably enough to buy maybe a condom from a vending machine in a pub, which you probably hope you never went to. Now, my final book is the rather darling Wedding Puzzle by Sallie Muirden. Beth is about to marry her heart's desire, her childhood sweetheart Jordan, the man she's loved since high school. Now, Beth was never the popular girl and lacked self-confidence, but she's managed to bag Jordan. And on the morning of the wedding down in Portsea, she gets a note from one of Jordan's ex-girlfriends, who used to be one of Beth's friends and is now considered to be a frenemy. And this throws Beth into a spin and a great dilemma. All the action takes place on the same day, on one day, but also 10 to 15 years previously, as Beth reminisces about her childhood in the 1970s, I should say. The book is set in the 1980s. Now, some might call Wedding Puzzle a rom-com, and if you like rom-coms, which I do, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I thought it was a refreshing book, and I really enjoyed it because Muirden is such an interesting writer, and I think it borders literary fiction. It's beautiful and astute, and her observations are fantastic. And how can you not love anything that's set in the 1980s? And Muirden brings it to life, and she clearly loves the Mornington Peninsula. So that's a Wedding Puzzle, and it's out by Transit Lounge, and I bought my copy for $30, which means the writer gets about $3, which will pretty much buy you a packet of juicy fruit. So that is my 3 books, out of 30, so 27 more to go. Please like and comment below and give me your suggestions of some fantastic Australian books that you think I should buy and review, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So I'll see you in about 2 weeks' time.